In a world obsessed with doing more, what if the most powerful thing you could do for your mind and body was nothing? I used to think meditation was just sitting quietly, doing nothing. But when I actually tried it, I realized it was something much deeper, something that gave me control, clarity, and a sense of peace I didn't know I could access. As it turns out, modern neuroscience is proving what ancient traditions have known for thousands and thousands of years. Meditation doesn't just relax you, it physically rewires your brain, lowers stress hormones, and even affects your immune system. Today, we're breaking down the science of how meditation transforms both your mind and body, and why it might just be the key to better health. Welcome to Health Reframed, where we dive into the science behind health, break down complex medical topics, and rethink our approach to wellness. Together, we'll explore how prevention, education, and systemic changes can empower individuals to live healthier lives. My name is Jack Snyder, a prospective doctor with a degree in biomedical sciences, specializing in anatomy and physiology. I spent around 4 years working in healthcare as an EMT, and I'm passionate about bringing you accessible, evidence-based insights for better health. Today, we're talking about meditation, its history, the science of what happens in your body when you meditate, the latest research on its benefits, and how meditation itself is a reframe. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The word meditation comes from the Latin meditatio, meaning to think, contemplate, devise, or ponder, and its history is deeply tied to the various religious traditions from which it came. Meditation was likely first practiced many thousands of years ago by adherents of Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, all of which originated in India. The common theme among these religions with regards to meditation was to achieve an enlightened state, a state of pure awareness and consciousness. By meditating, one is able to reach such a state different from our day-to-day worldly experience. This state was akin to being one with one's internal self, achieving an inner awakening. Taoism is another ancient tradition, Chinese in origin, that incorporated meditation as well. Meditation in Taoism was done to reach oneness with the Tao. Put simply, the Tao is the way. It is the natural order of things, and it is a way of being that is right and good in the universe. Lao Tzu, the creator of Taoism and the author of the Tao Te Ching, practiced meditation in the mornings, sitting in the quiet of nature, focusing on his breath. In this way, he let nature and reality flow through him, finding a oneness and balance with it. In his own words, attain utmost emptiness, abide in stillness. These traditions practiced meditation in various ways. Breathing and practices focused on the breath were very important factors. Physical postures called asanas in Hindu tradition were also used. Mantras also play a big role in many meditative traditions. A mantra is a phrase or a word that represents a deity or theme. This phrase is often repeated time and time again to bring one closer to the deity or the theme that the mantra represents. Meditation has also existed in the Abrahamic religions as well, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Framed slightly differently, these religions portray meditation as a quiet waiting, musing, prayer, or concentration. These practices involve introspection and waiting before a prayer service, praying a rosary, which is a long string of prayers prayed in a specific sequence, and high-intensity introspection. Today, meditation has become far more prominent in West and in the Western culture. This began in the late 1800s as Asian cultures began to seep into Western culture. The 60s saw another surge that propelled meditation into the mainstream of American and Western life, a surge that goes on today and is being ever more researched. Today, meditation continues to grow. In the past 20 years, the number of U.S. adults who reported meditating doubled from 7.5% to a walloping 17.3%. Meditation, when done properly, affects the body and mind in multiple ways, and it changes the physical areas of the brain that are activated. Many studies have investigated what happens to the brain when you meditate, and what they have found is that meditation has effects really all over the brain. Furthermore, these effects are not just limited to when you're meditating, but they have effects that stay and hold on after you meditate and continue to be there over time as well. But what areas are impacted, and what do these areas control? This is one of the main questions that researchers are looking at with regards to meditation. So, what have they found? One of the most commonly cited areas that changes with meditation is the default mode network in the brain, so called because it is not one area, but multiple parts of the brain that work together. The default mode network is active when you are not doing something that requires your attention. In other words, it's activated when you are doing nothing. It's the network that is the default when you're just sitting there, right? And it is also active during rumination and when you are thinking about the past and the future, or when your mind is just simply wandering. So if you're just sitting there, literally doing nothing and letting your mind do its thing, the default mode network is activated. This surprised researchers when they found out about this. It is continuing research, but it did surprise them initially because it was long thought that the brain on the whole becomes less active when you are not doing anything. However, these areas thought to be concentrated in the prefrontal cortex, the cingulate cortex, and the inferior parietal lobule do indeed become more active when you are not focused and you are doing nothing. These areas are dispersed around the brain, the prefrontal cortex being in the front area of the brain, the cingulate cortex being somewhere in the middle of the brain, not on the exterior, and the inferior parietal lobe being more to the back and lower in your brain. When you meditate, these areas decrease in activity. The default mode network decreases in activity. This makes sense because when meditating, you do not focus on the past or future, nor do you let your mind wander. You focus your attention to the now. Meditation is far from doing nothing. As a consequence, the area of your brain that is active when you do nothing decreases in activity when you meditate. Furthermore, meditation has been shown to increase activity in parts of the brain, specifically the insula. Among other things like taste, balance, and pain, the insula is associated with bodily awareness. This so-called interoceptive cortex is responsible for processing and bringing to consciousness the feeling of internal and external bodily sensations. This is going to be things like digestion, respiration, and circulation. When you meditate, this area lights up. And once again, this does make sense. When you meditate, you often focus your awareness on your body, noticing the sensations that you feel, your breath, etc. Meditation has also been shown to increase gray matter parts of the brain. Your brain consists of gray and white matter, each relating to different parts of the neuron, which are the cells of your nervous system. White matter consists of axons, which are the information-carrying arms of neurons. Axons can be as long as a meter and carry information from one area to another. For instance, if you touch something hot, a neuron detects this, and it relays the information to your brain via its axon. Axons carry information at lightning speed, the fastest ones reaching over 200 miles an hour. By contrast, the gray matter is composed of the cell bodies of neurons. The cell body is where information is processed, if you will. One cell body may be receiving signals from thousands and thousands of other neurons. These signals are compiled and processed in the cell body, and these different cell bodies work in unison with one another to cause effects in the brain. Because of this, gray matter areas of the brain are generally associated with higher order processing of information. The specific gray area matters of the brain that meditation seems to grow are associated with learning, memory, emotion regulation, self-referential processing, and perspective taking. Once again, this does make sense, especially with regards to the self-referential processing and perspective taking, as when meditating, you are putting yourself in the moment and almost taking a bird's eye view of yourself, which can certainly help in emotional regulation as well, being able to take a step back from your emotions. And the learning and memory aspects are very functional as well. The big takeaways from all of this neuroscience talk is this. Meditation impacts many, many areas of the brain. It decreases activation in certain areas. These areas control rumination and wandering thoughts. And it increases activation in areas that make you aware of yourself. Furthermore, meditation may cause growth in some parts of the brain that control learning, memory, emotional regulation, and a sense of self. Beyond all of the complicated brain stuff, meditation also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, also called the rest and digest system. This is a branch of the autonomic nervous system, named because it controls the automatic functions in your body, like digestion or pumping your heart. When the parasympathetic branch is activated, your heart rate goes down, your breathing slows, and your blood pressure drops. All of these things are associated with being very relaxed. This fact will come into play later when we discuss benefits, but at first, the benefits seem very clear. More relaxed, calmer, less stressed, etc. is generally a good thing and something that many people are looking for. So, if meditation can help boost parasympathetic activity, this is a very good thing. More definitive research is needed to nail down the exact mechanisms of meditation in the body. There's still much discussion and a lot of varying viewpoints on all of this. However, this current understanding that we have discussed today seems to indicate that meditation is a powerful tool in improving neuroplasticity and mood. Neuroplasticity refers to the quality your brain has to change. This quality allows new circuits and pathways to form for you to learn new things, new habits, and physically change how your brain operates. This phenomenon is very prominent in youth. Consider how quickly children learn, for instance, but it seems to taper off somewhat into adulthood. However, it is still very possible to retain plasticity, albeit a little bit more difficult in adulthood. We'll talk a little bit more about neuroplasticity in a bit, but for now, let's look at the benefits of meditation. The benefits can be roughly split into two camps, mental and physical benefits. Let's start with the mental, and more specifically, depression and anxiety. Meditation has been shown to improve symptoms of depression and anxiety to a significant degree. It is thought that one of the reasons for this is because meditation reduces the amount of certain brain regions that are activated. The medial prefrontal cortex is an area of the brain that is very active in people with depression and anxiety. But what does this area do? It is responsible for processing information about oneself. It's the area that lights up when you're mulling over life, what the future holds, what has happened in the past. Given that people with depression and anxiety often get caught in these thought patterns, thoughts of the future and about life in general, and things that have happened in the past, it's no surprise that this area lights up. Furthermore, the amygdala, which is the part of your brain that gets activated when you're afraid, is also hyperactive in people with depression. The thinking is that meditation reduces activity in these areas. Think about earlier how we mentioned the default mode network and how meditation reduces activity there. The default mode network, if you remember, is the system in the brain responsible for rumination. If meditation can help reduce rumination, thoughts of the past, the future, and being anxious about life, and perhaps if meditation can stop these negative thought loops that just spiral in on themselves when ruminating of these things, it can greatly improve symptoms of depression and anxiety, so the thinking goes. Personally, I've used meditation during periods of depression and anxiety, and my take is that this interpretation is pretty much spot on. It's very easy to get caught in your own mind if you're depressed and anxious, and often rumination and cyclical thought patterns turn the problem from bad to worse. Perhaps you're anxious about something totally reasonable, like a test, right? But then you get caught in a thought spiral. If I don't do well on this test, then I won't do well in this class, and then what is that going to mean for my college degree, and what's that going to mean for life? And you just get caught in this spiral, and that's when it stops becoming useful, because anxiety and stress in very small amounts can be kind of useful, right? You probably should be a little stressed for your test. It helps you prepare for it, but taken too far and it becomes maladaptive and starts to negatively impact your life. However, I've found that meditation can allow you to take a step back. Instead of acting on these negative feelings and getting caught in these spirals that come with depression and anxiety, meditating and allowing the feelings to exist and pass can alleviate their effects. This distance between you and your feelings can give you an edge in controlling how you react to the depression and anxiety symptoms that crop up. But you don't have to just take my word for it. According to a meta-analysis by Fu and colleagues, mindfulness meditation practices helped to significantly alleviate depressive symptoms in patients and individuals during COVID-19. Furthermore, some research indicates that meditation may be as effective as drugs in treating anxiety. A paper by Hodge and colleagues investigated whether mindfulness-based stress reduction was better or worse than acetalopram, a common anxiety medication, also known as Lexapro. They found that mindfulness-based practices were no better or worse than acetalopram. This is only one study, but it indicates the sheer potential that meditation has in transforming people's lives, possibly reducing the need for medications. This is because, like I just mentioned, they found that mindfulness was pretty much on par with acetalopram, which is a pretty shocking finding, I think. On the topic of stress, meditation doesn't just offer a moment of calm. It has a measurable impact on your body's stress hormones and your body's stress response. A comprehensive meta-analysis by Pesco and colleagues found that meditation significantly lowers levels of cortisol in your blood. This is the hormone that is most associated with stress. But that's not all. The same research in the same meta-analysis revealed that meditation also helps in reducing blood pressure, a critical factor in overall stress and heart health as well. These findings highlight something rather profound. Meditation is not just a mental practice. It's a powerful tool for literally transforming your physical state and your body, calming both the mind and the body in ways that extend far beyond mere relaxation. Meditation also shows immense promise with regards to substance use disorders. According to a study by Pretty and colleagues, emerging evidence suggests that mindfulness training can target these neurocognitive mechanisms to produce significant therapeutic effects on SUDs, which is substance use disorders, and prevent relapse. This could be a huge development because relapse and substance abuse are so prevalent. 16.7% of Americans over the age of 12 reported battling a substance abuse disorder in the past year. That's a lot of people dealing with this. Furthermore, death by overdose has been sharply increasing since 2015. So if meditation, a free and relatively straightforward treatment, can help with this, even to a small or medium degree, this would be a huge step in the right direction for people struggling with substance abuse. Perhaps it wouldn't be a total replacement for other treatments, but adding it into the mix could be something that could help significantly. Another area where meditation shines is sleep. Many individuals, including myself, can have some difficulty sleeping. A meta-analysis by Roosh and colleagues addressed much of the current research on this topic. This is what they found. They found weak evidence that meditation had no effect on sleep, and moderately strong evidence that meditation significantly improved sleep quality. In other words, they found that meditation does help sleep. It seems to be the case that meditation not only helps with insomnia, which is when you're staying awake and unable to fall asleep, but also with sleep quality. These data show that sleep is just one other thing that meditation can help with. Meditation has a profound impact on the immune system. A review by Black and Slavish found that meditation positively influences immune function by reducing pro-inflammatory markers. These markers are linked to stress, aging, and disease. And they also found that meditation is linked to increased activity of telomerase, an enzyme that helps protect cells from aging. To understand why this matters, let's take a quick look at how aging affects your cells. Every cell in your body contains your genome, which is stored in 46 chromosomes made of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. This DNA holds the instructions for literally everything built in your body, from hair follicles to your heart to your liver. It's everything. However, as cells replicate over time, they must make exact copies of their DNA. This process isn't perfect. Small errors and damage can accumulate, and this contributes to aging and cell deterioration. However, one way that your body helps protect against this damage is through telomeres, which are protective caps on the end of chromosomes. Telomeres themselves don't carry genetic instructions. Instead, they act as buffers, preventing essential DNA from getting damaged during cell division. But over time, even the telomeres shorten, eventually leaving important DNA exposed and vulnerable. This is where telomerase comes in, an enzyme that helps rebuild and extend telomeres, which slows cellular aging. Since research suggests that meditation increases telomerase activity, it may play an important role in preserving telomere length and promoting cellular longevity. While telomeres are still an important and active area of study, their connection to aging and disease makes this a particularly exciting and hopeful potential benefit of meditation. Finally, some other research that I looked at found meditation being used for cancer, weight control, PTSD, and pain. There's some promise in these domains, but it's clear that more research is needed due to the limits of the studies that have been done. But I think this just adds to the list of potential benefits of meditation and further acts to bolster its just overall efficacy and use. Though more research may be needed to confirm some of these findings we have talked about today, I think meditation is still a very valid option for these diseases or these benefits that we've talked about, especially given the fact that meditation has really few, if any, downsides. That isn't to say it should be your only avenue of treatment, nor am I saying that it will be a definitive cure for any of these mental and physical disorders we have talked about. However, what I do think is that it can help improve mood, give you perspective, and act as a grounding exercise in conjunction with other treatments and methods of treatment, especially because it's relatively easy, doesn't take much time, not really many downsides, etc. All of this talk of benefits and neural mechanisms is all very great, very hopeful, very useful, but it can also be totally useless if you don't even know how to meditate in the first place. So let's talk about how you can start meditating today. At first glance, meditating appears to be sitting still and being quiet. However, this is far from the truth. Meditation requires a great deal of focus and concentration of attention. To begin, it is indeed the case that when you meditate, you do want to be comfortable and likely sitting down. Find a comfortable position. This is pretty important because if you aren't comfortable, you'll inevitably start to squirm and your attention will cease to be where you want it to be. Not exactly ideal for meditation. So find your best chair, lazy boy recliner, or lay down in a comfortable position in your bed. Next, you want to close your eyes. It is under these conditions that you may begin to focus your attention. The breath is probably the most important and common thing to focus on, especially for people who have never meditated before. Feel the air move in your nose, down your windpipe, and into your lungs. Feel it move out, blowing through your windpipe and through your nasal passages, out your nose. Feel your chest rise, feel your lungs expand, and so on. Moving this awareness to your body is a next natural step. Starting with your toes, feel the sensations of maybe your socks on your feet, and then the blanket laying on your legs, pants perhaps, clothing on your body. Perhaps there's an itch you feel. You can put your attention on it, become aware of it, and not act on it. Moving up your body, you can feel your chest, your back, down your arms, feeling your fingertips, moving up to your head, feeling your chin, your mouth, your nose, your forehead, your ears, your eyes, really bringing attention to the sensations you are feeling at all times that normally just go passed over by your consciousness. You can also incorporate mantras into this practice, repeating a word or phrase over and over, concentrating on it, and giving it your attention. I personally like a mantra from the Dune series called the Litany Against Fear. I tend to use it on the fly in situations where, fear is a factor or anxiety is a factor or whatever else I may want to use the mantra for. I found it to be practically useful. And it goes like this. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. When the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. You can also use a specific object, like a candle flame or art, to focus on. In India, they have a specific term for meditation that centers around looking at a candle. They call it trataka. I've done this before. It's an interesting form of meditation because it incorporates the visual side of things. It can often be a little trickier to do meditation with your eyes open because with your eyes closed, you limit the amount of stimuli and sensation that's coming in. But when you open your eyes, suddenly your consciousness is flooded with sensation and stimuli. So choosing one object like a candle to focus on can be very beneficial. This concentrated awareness is something that is a practice, however. You won't always be perfect at it, especially if you're just starting out. Our minds do, in fact, have quite the tendency to wander. But over time, you can become aware of this wandering and bring yourself back to the breath or to the body or to the mantra or to the candle or whatever it may be. Furthermore, being aware of your thoughts and emotions and observing them is somewhat similar to how you concentrate on the breath and the body. Notice what your emotions feel like, the sensation that they evoke in your body, but do so without judgment or action. Observe your emotion almost like a third-party observer, view it as something that's distinct from you, something you can understand, something that you can watch, and something that you don't necessarily have to let control you. You can learn to begin to take a step back from your emotions and let them be. If all of this sounds confusing or hard to understand, I totally get it. When I first started meditating, I had help from therapists or guided meditation apps, and I highly recommend starting meditation in a similar way. Having someone like a therapist can be super helpful because they can help explain the process, and you can ask questions if you're unsure, and you can kind of talk about the meditation afterwards. However, I understand that not all of you have access to a therapist, which is why I also recommend apps or videos online, guided meditations, they're called, that can guide you in meditation in a similar way. These can be really beneficial. I've used them before, and they can really get the ball rolling if you've never meditated before. Over time, though, you can get to the point where you don't really need the guided meditations or the therapist to get into that meditative state. This can be really beneficial as it allows you to take meditation with you on the go and perform it anywhere. I think another important thing to mention is that you should be very open to meditation if you decide to try it. I get it. At first, it feels kind of silly. It can also feel frustrating and hard. You sit there, you're trying to achieve this state that we've talked about today, and all you can think about is what you're going to have for dinner, what you're going to do tonight, what happened at work today. But it's important to try to bring the awareness to the now. I think that's one of the big facets of meditation, as well as using guided meditations to help bring you into that state. But give it a chance, be open to it. If you're closed off and you think it's stupid and silly, it probably won't do much for you. So you do have to keep quite an open mind for it. After all, it is something that is unlike most of what we encounter in our day-to-day lives. Contrasted with the smartphone use or working or just being busy all day, meditation presses pause on everything. It simply brings you into the present moment, aware of your body, thoughts, breath, emotions, but not tied to or really in pursuit of anything except this awareness. This temporary pause is rather unlike anything I just mentioned in terms of what we do find ourselves doing day to day, but I think it can be a powerful frame shift that many people can benefit from. Meditation is, in and of itself, a frame shift. We like our frames on this show. Normally, I talk about reframing how we think about hypertension or how empathizing empathy with Alzheimer's and patient care can at times outweigh the medicine involved. But meditation is itself a reframe. For many, the day-to-day frame of our world is shaped by short-form content, fast-paced work environments, and an endless focus on tasks. We constantly oscillate between thinking about the past and the future, with little time to simply exercise the present moment and our inner self. Meditation, by contrast, steps outside of this frame entirely. It detaches us from the past and the future, centering only on the present, the body, the breath. The experience of meditation is unlike anything we experience in daily life. It offers a rare moment to observe emotions as they surface, almost as a third-party observer. It creates a pause, a chance to see the present reality in a new light. Often, I find that when meditating, I become acutely aware of the calmness and peace that I can cultivate within myself. Pressing pause on life in this way can reveal how many of our worries and stressors with practice can be set aside, allowing a space for peace. Marcus Aurelius captures this idea beautifully in Meditations. People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish that you could too, which is idiotic. You can get away from it any time you like by going within. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. At first, meditation can feel difficult, pulling yourself away from your thoughts, focusing on the present, quieting the mind. But with time, it does become easier. It stops feeling like a struggle and it becomes a welcome refuge. Eventually, meditation becomes portable, something that you can do on the bus in the minutes before a doctor's appointment, or perhaps more importantly, in the moments when stress, anxiety, or depression arise. This is its greatest strength. It offers that within that Marcus Aurelius describes. With enough practice, meditation creates its own space, free from noise, distraction, and the mental clutter that the world throws at us. A healthy dose of stoicism, as Aurelius preaches, can ease the weight of everyday life until it ceases to be a burden. I do recommend Meditations to anyone and everyone. It's truly a fantastic book. Another key reframe is the power that meditation gives you over your mind and, by extension, your health. The brain is often viewed like any other organ, the heart, lungs, the liver. So we tend to think of mental health issues the way that we think of other medical conditions, as problems that require external solutions. A heart rhythm issue? There's a pill for that. A neurotransmitter imbalance? There's a pill for that too. But unlike other organs, the mind has a unique ability. It can change itself and in turn influence the body. This ability that we talked about somewhat earlier is known as neuroplasticity. And it means that with deliberate practice, we can literally reshape our brain's chemistry and function. Meditation is one of the most powerful ways that we can do this. Research shows that long-term meditation can alter brain structures involved in stress, emotion regulation, and even pain perception. It's an important reminder that while some aspects of health are beyond our control, others are very much within it. Medicalization and medicalizing mental health has brought enormous benefits, better recognition, treatment, and support for those struggling with all kinds of conditions, mental or otherwise. But it's also introduced an often very overlooked side effect, the loss of perceived self-efficacy. If I view my mental health solely as a medical issue, and medical issues are typically seen as biological processes that are by and large out of my control, then I may conclude that my mental health is indeed beyond my control. However, this syllogism that seems to be implicit in modern medicalization grossly oversimplifies things. Not all medical conditions exist in the same category of control. Some of them, like type 1 diabetes, are completely beyond personal intervention. No amount of meditation, exercise, diet, or lifestyle changes will ever change the fact that insulin is not being produced and that those cells are dead in type 1 diabetics. Others, like hypertension, can often be significantly managed through these lifestyle changes. The issue is that increasing medicalization does not always make distinctions like these clear. Distinctions between medical conditions that are more in your control versus ones that are not. This is why I personally advocate for a sliding scale-based approach to medical conditions. And it's an approach that is more of a perspective at how we look at medical conditions. Some of them require medication or surgery literally for survival. Others are entirely modifiable through lifestyle and behavior, and many fall somewhere in between. Recognizing where we have agency and actually act on it is very transformative. This perspective on medicine does require nuance, as it shifts somewhat from the traditional Western approach. As opposed to looking for a medical Western treatment for everything, it emphasizes treating cultural and behavioral factors alongside the chemical and biological ones. However, rather than these two opposing factors being at odds with one another, they can complement each other. A union between these perspectives, integrating lifestyle, mindset, medical treatment, is essential for achieving the best outcomes in patients. And this is one of the big reframes and the big topics of this channel. I think having a synthesis of more than just traditional Western medicine is essential in progressing medicine from where we are today. Your health is not entirely out of your hands. By taking deliberate steps, whether through meditation, movement, nutrition, or mindset shifts, you can indeed shape your well-being in ways far greater than we often assume. Today, we took a deep dive into meditation, a practice that has been enriching humanity for millennia. As we've seen, scientific research is increasingly uncovering the profound impact meditation has on our bodies and our minds. From boosting the immune system and alleviating depression and anxiety, to improving sleep quality and enhancing emotional well-being, the benefits are vast and they're very well documented. Meditation also serves as a powerful reminder of the need for a more holistic approach to health, one that integrates both Western medical treatments and practices that nurture the mind and lifestyle. It's clear that true wellness involves more than just treating symptoms. It's about addressing the whole person. I hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and practical takeaways that you can apply in your own life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing this episode with someone you think could benefit from it. Your support helps us reach more people and continue bringing valuable content your way. If you have any thoughts, questions, or experiences you'd like to share, please don't hesitate to reach out on social media or email. I have an Instagram page that is linked in the show notes and the Spotify or whatever podcast page you're listening to. Or if you can't find that, we are Health Reframed on Instagram. But the point is, I love hearing from you, and I love to continue these conversations, so don't be afraid to reach out. As always, my goal is to make science and health more accessible, so you can make more informed decisions about your well-being. I'm truly grateful for each of you who listen to and engage with the podcast. I hope you're leaving today feeling inspired to incorporate meditation or other holistic practices into your life. Wishing you all the very best. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.